guys, got another book bite for you. A Home for Goddesses and Dogs by Leslie Connor. And actually she wrote another book called The Truth as Told by Mason Buttle. So if you've read that one, you'd probably like this one. All right, so here's what it says on the inside cover. It's a life-altering new year for 13-year-old Lydia when she uproots to a Connecticut farm to live with her aunt following her mother's death. Aunt Brat, her jovial wife Eileen, and their ancient live-in landlord Elleroy are welcoming and a little quirky. Lydia's struggle for a sense of belonging in her new family is highlighted when the women adopt a big yellow dog just days after the girls' arrival. Wasn't one rescue enough? Lydia is not a dog person, and this one is trouble. He's mistrustful and slinky. He pees in the house, escapes into the woods, and barks at things unseen. His new owners begin to guess about his unknown past. At the same time, Lydia doesn't want to be difficult, and she does not mean to keep secrets, but there are things she's not telling. Like why the box of paper stuff she keeps under her bed is so important, and why the hole in the wall behind a poster in her room is getting bigger, and why something she took from the big yellow dog just might be the key to unraveling his mysterious past, but at what cost? Ooh, this one sounds so good. Oh my goodness. All right, are you ready for chapter 1? And it's short chapters too, I was looking, but they don't have a lot of pictures. You know I like the good pictures. Chapter 1, All Things Boxy. You'll be all right. You come from strong. That had been my mother's refrain, one of them. I would have given anything to hear her say it again, right then, in her voice. But that wasn't going to happen. All I could think was those words. Not the same. Lydia Bratches Kemp, don't feel lonely for her. Not right now. Don't feel anything. Tuck it away. I buckled myself into the front seat of Aunt Brat's boxy car. Funny, boxy car. A box on my lap, and outside the window was a little box of a house that I was leaving behind. We could never name the color of that siding. It wasn't white enough to be white, not yellow enough to be cream. The grayish stains the house wore down its front could not be named either, though once Mom and I had tried. Look, it's changing color, she'd said. It must be board. What do you think we have there, Lydia? Dove feather gray? Maybe it's iris mist? Today, the thin line of aluminum had framed the window, picked up a dullish blue light from somewhere in the winter sky. The outside of the house was nothing like the inside. Mom had spent the 2 years since my grandmother had died personalizing the space, as she called it. She'd made little stone and mosaic altars to the seasons on the windowsills with a glue gun. She'd painted moon art on top of Grandma's worn-out wallpaper, and we'd lettered limericks and poems across the jambs and around the light switches. Mom called it our happy retaliation after the fact. We loved Grandma the way one loves a family's most difficult member, but she'd made that house feel like a trap. No wonder Mom wanted us to let loose on the place once Grandma was gone. Now Mom was gone too. It may sound impossible, but I was prepared, as much as one can be. When it came to death, Mom had been everything from mad to matter-of-fact to jokey and irreverent and, I'd always thought, forgiving. Her bluntness had made people uncomfortable, but I'd grown up with it. We had talked about the day I'd be finally, fully orphaned. We'd talked about Aunt Brat, too. She was my last of kin. I'd go live with her one day. And here that day was. It just happened to be New Year's Eve. I cupped my hands on the sides of the box on my lap. The driver's side door opened, and I watched my aunt let herself into the car. She swept the fabric of her long boot skirt in with her. She slammed the door against a gust of Rochester's winter breath. I had watched my aunt in recent days. She was tall, and even inside the tiny rooms of this little house, she'd managed to take long strides. I could hear that skirt swishing. When she'd reached up to empty the kitchen cupboards, her arms seemed to sweep up there, almost like she was performing a solo stadium wave. It seemed familiar, though she'd only visited a handful of times. Grandma and Aunt Brat had never gotten along. Mom had always said she longed to see her older sister more. They'd stayed telephone close. Well, less so in recent years after Grandma died. I figured Aunt Brat would visit, maybe even a lot. But then I'd overhear Mom lying to my aunt on the phone. We were fine. Our health was good. It wasn't. You've got your job in a busy life, Brat, Mom would say. I'll let you know when things get dicey with this cruddy heart of mine. I felt bad for my aunt these past few days. She wasn't as well prepared for this as I was. I had cried plenty. But if death was a dog of a thing, and my mother had said it would be, Aunt Brat seemed harder bitten. She'd lost it more than once, convulsing into tears as we'd cleaned out the little house. I'm sorry, she'd said when she'd broken down in front of me. I just wish I'd known Holly was failing. I wish she'd called. I would have come. Now she smoothed herself into the driver's seat and pulled the belt across her body. She pressed the key into the ignition and shot me a small smile. One a lot like my mother's. As the car started up, she shook back her gray hair, cut blunt as a broom straw to meet her shoulders. Are you buckled, Lydia? Yes, I said. Perfect, she said. At least it's not snowing. She checked her mirrors and dialed up some heat. Off we rolled, away from the little house of unnamable color, away from my home for the last 7 years. It'd be put up for sale now. Aunt Brat planned to use the money to pay the last of our Rochester bills. She hoped there'd be a little college nest egg left for me. Don't worry, Aunt Brat said. She pulled onto the highway. You're not trapped, I promise. I won't talk at you for the whole trip. And I won't do that to you either, I said. We smiled. However, it is a long ride. We might want to cover a few things. She looked away from the road for a second to glance at me. You can ask me anything. Hope you know that. Thanks, I said. But I couldn't make her the same offer. I hugged the boxes I was holding on my lap. I probably sighed a little. Are you sure you want to hold that? There's still plenty of room in the back, Aunt Brat said. This is fine, I said. I knew it seemed a little like a weird choice. The box was not heavy, but it was tall enough that it came up to my chest. I glanced over my shoulder toward the back of the car. I knew what was there. 2 suitcases of clothes, neither very big, 1 box of books, and 1 very cold old wooden art chest with stacking trays inside. I drummed my fingers lightly on the box I held. This one was full of, well, paper stuff. Most important, a thick stack of collages. The Goddess. Ooh. So we'll have to see, because I don't remember them talking at the beginning about a goddess, just a dog. I can't wait to hear. So if you want to read this book, A Home for Goddesses and Dogs, it's right here at the library. I'll see you on Wednesday, guys. Bye.